Well, it's good to be here and good to meet up with the wonderful team here in Camberley. Jean and I are on a kind of thank you visit, just to try and get out to every single project within the CNI network family. We've got 130 now. I think this is about 35, 36, something like that. Jean's good at keeping count. So, but it's fantastic just to get out and meet amazing volunteer teams who are making a massive difference in this country. Did you know that alcohol-related violence and alcohol-related A&E referrals are reducing year on year in this nation? And that's part of our story, isn't it? Did you see there was a news article about 4 or 5 weeks ago? One of the newspapers had the headline, "End of Booze Britain." Apparently, the number of younger people binge drinking, which is drinking excessive amounts on weekend evenings, has reduced by about a third over the last 10 years. Which, interestingly, is when the church got active and went out doing things like Streetangels and Street Pastors. So I think we are changing the culture of this nation. So give yourselves a big round of applause for helping change the culture of a nation. Because, of course, England, Britain, has always had this problem of being the binge drink capital of the world, really. And because we're going out, we've been active, we're praying, we're doing stuff within the community at that time, we are seeing a radical change. So it's great, because it does mean the streets are getting quieter, there's less people out, there's less problems, there's less issues because people are drinking more sensibly. But I think it's great that we have helped change the culture of this nation. Shall I tell you a little bit of how we started Streetangels? Would that be interesting? Halifax was known as the Wild West of West Yorkshire. Has anybody been to Halifax? Oh, look at this. I was just saying earlier, we're actually the capital of this country, because walk down any high street and you see Halifax there, don't you? And most of you owe us money, which is an even better position to be in, but there we go. So Halifax is known as the Wild West of West Yorkshire. Police reckon that on any given Friday and Saturday night there will be between 8,000 and 12,000 people out and about in Halifax, which is basically 2 streets at the top of the town. Binge drinking was fairly common, violence unfortunately was fairly common, sexual assaults were happening almost monthly, there'd be at least one sexual assault a month. Underage drinking, and the town really had become a no-go area on weekend evenings. I took Jean on romantic moonlit strolls. No, she's not disagreeing, there we go. Around Halifax, and we saw things that were absolutely horrendous. We saw bottles being thrown and hitting people on the head. We saw people wandering around with broken bottles just looking to stab someone. We saw trails of blood and vomit and whatever else just leading off down alleyways. People just lying in the gutter in all sorts of mess. So the reality was probably worse than the perception that the local media portrayed. And we thought as Christians, our town doesn't deserve and shouldn't have this image on a weekend evening. So we thought, what can we do? And so we prayed about it and sort of left it there, really. Churches together got this wonderful cafe facility in the town centre, and then quite radically for churches, they had this meeting that was asking the question, what are the needs in Halifax and what can the church do to meet those needs? That's a dangerous question to ask, isn't it? So I piped up, you know what, there's something around the night time. And so they said, great, go away, look into it. So a week later I was in a meeting with the town centre police sergeant. I went up to him afterwards and said, we've got this cafe, I'm sure we can get some volunteers. What do you think about us doing something on Friday, Saturday nights? As I'm sure you found out, this policeman got very excited. The policemen get excited down here. Sometimes that's good. He said, let me know when I talk to my bosses and come back to you. A week later he came back to us even more excited. And one of the things he said in this meeting was, nationally it is recognised by the police that when the church gets involved, amazing things happen. And he told us, this was a non-Christian policeman, he told us about some of the Festival Manchester stuff that had happened and a big council estate where crime had gone to zero when they bussed a few thousand Christians in. He talked about things that were happening in London and Liverpool, and he says, and as the police, we're desperate for that in Halifax. He then asked us if we could launch in 2 weeks' time. So we said yes, of course, because most Christians aren't busy at Christmas, so they're so it just kind of really went from this idea to reality in just over 2 weeks. The idea at first was to open up our cafe as a safe place. Our cafe wasn't that big, it's probably smaller than that square there at the back with counters and coffee tables and all the rest of it. And amazingly, 50 people turned up to volunteer.
Wow.
From the local churches. 50 people who all said, our town deserves better than the reputation it has on weekend evenings. So I thought we can't just sit in the cafe waiting for people to come to us. So let's do something radical and go out into the town and see what the needs and the problems and the issues are out in the town centre. So really that's the heart and the sort of start of Street Angels. It was just a group of people saying our town deserves better than the reputation and some of the stuff that goes on weekend evenings. And as you know, here in Camberley, it works, doesn't it? People who care going out into the streets of the town simply caring. In the first 12 months, violent crime reduced by 42%. The Home Office did a very in-depth study as to how Halifax Police had fiddled the numbers and what they'd done to kind of disguise all the violence that was going on. And they came back with the report. It's because the police were willing to work in partnership, but also because the community were taking responsibility for the community and going out onto the streets, just simply caring for people, and it had such a massive impact. Because it worked in Halifax very quickly, other towns began to visit us. So in 2008 we launched the Christian Nightlife Initiatives Network, or CNI Network for short, which has now in some way helped or resourced about 130 projects across the UK. We launched 3 years ago into Magaluf. Has anybody been to Magaluf? It's on an 1830s holiday.
Company do. Can you believe it?
What from Camberley Streetangels? No. Nobody else been to Magaluf?
I'll tell you later. You don't want to know.
Was that a shameful look at the back?
They've got lots of English pubs, that's all I'll say. Gives you an idea.
Magaluf has probably the reputation of being one of the worst resorts in Europe. And it was great to work with the church over there that were just wanted to change this. So we've now worked 2 seasons, one in Santa Ponsa, one in Magaluf, and we're just about to start our 3rd season. But because of the prayers, about 3-4 weeks ago, the Magaluf Council said we're going to stop and close the pubs that are doing all the bar crawls. We're going to sort out some of the legislation and the lap dancing, because we want to make Magaluf safer and nicer and better. And I believe it's because the Street Angels are there, they've been praying, they've been canvassing and pestering the council and the police. It's great to change a culture, isn't it? Yeah. And hopefully we can see Magaluf change. We've also got links to Ibiza and Tenerife. Anybody been to Las Americas? No? Oh, well. The lad at the back's just gone everywhere. It's great to kind of just take what we've got. The other week we launched in the Seychelles. Has anybody been there? Nobody like to go there. But it was fantastic just to go out and well, we haven't been out, unfortunately, we just sent them an email with all the information on. But it's fantastic that what was born really is a heart just to change a town on a night time. It's now making a massive impact nationwide. We haven't just stayed on the streets, because we quickly worked out that lots of the problems start inside the club venues. So about 3 years ago we launched something called Club Angels, which are teams inside club venues with the agendas to chat, help, listen and care. And the t-shirts say, PS for Christians, ask us more if you want. The first weekend they ran in Leeds, a girl walked into the ladies' toilets, because that's where girls like to hang out apparently. Saw the t-shirt, broke down in tears. She'd had a miscarriage that day. She'd gone out to drink to kind of cope and forget and work out what to do next. So instead of drinking the night away, she sat on the toilet floor in Tiger for 6 hours, just crying her heart out, sobbing her heart out, getting all the pain, all the hurt, all the emotion. She managed to ring her boyfriend, I think, and sort of share with him. And she went on her way after 6 hours, much more confident about what had happened with the different agencies that could support her, and feeling able to tell her boyfriend and her family. So for people like that, we're just kind of there. Club Angels is now in Croydon and Bristol, Oldham, Dundee. Does anybody read the Financial Times? One. Did you read it 2 weekends ago in the Financial Times Weekend magazine? They rang me up with this reporter saying, "Oh, we've heard about Club Angels. Can we do a feature on you?" So I said, "Yeah, of course you can." So I put them in touch with Croydon, and we had a full-page article. It's blogged on our website, following this girl around for Club Angels for the night, just talking about why, as a Christian, she feels it's important to be in the club venue and to kind of bring about change and see lives change and the club change. I think it's fantastic, isn't it, when the Financial Times just brings you up and then 5 weeks later a page report. Does anybody watch BBC One's Street Patrol? essential daytime viewing, so I'm told. But they came out with the Croydon Club Angels as well, and we had about a 7-minute article on a feature on the street patrol. Again, just saying how as Christians we are changing the culture within the club, and it's great where you can get prayer on national BBC television, isn't it? Festivals, is anybody into things like Reading and Leeds? No, you haven't been. Guildford Fest, yeah. We're just seeing doors open at music festivals. Most of them are run by multi-million-pound companies. I'll tell you the story of Leeds because that's the one that I'm most involved in. A 72-year-old Methodist lady went to the churches together in Branham, which is the kind of neighbouring parish to where it all happens. So I think we should be in the festival handing out, it was the anniversary of the King James Version of the Bible, so I think we should be there handing out Bibles, and all the vicars went, yeah, right. You'll never get in there, multi-million-pound company, you'll never get through to the right person. So she rang up the festival, got through to the top man, Melvin Banks, who's the top man, and he says, yeah, we'd love to have the church in. We'll put you up a tent, can we do what you want? Now, tent space is worth thousands of pounds. It's all about money and generating money and income. So they put up a tent 4 years ago. I went in and handed out Bibles. The 72-year-old Methodist lady says, I'm never doing that again. I don't know why. So the local churches took it on 3 years ago and ran a slightly bigger prayer cafe. The Festival Republic then came to them and said, oh, we've seen these street angels out and about. Could you kind of do street angels at the festival? And also, the company running Lost Property, we don't trust them. We trust you lot, can you run Lost Property? So we've now ended up running Lost Property, a prayer cafe and detached teams, and it's just been great to kind of, the open doors are just fantastic. They've now asked us to look at next year taking on welfare, because they don't like the company doing that either. So they're happy to pay us to go and do welfare, which is just kind of what we do on the streets anyway, isn't it? Just looking after people and say, you'll do it far better as volunteers than the company that we pay do it, so look at taking it on. So doors are just opening, and it's just fantastic to be in a position as CNI Network, which is kind of the national umbrella organisation, just to say yes and just respond to whatever doors open and just do however God kind of leads us to open doors. I did say that Jean and I are on the thank you tour, so we've got a thank you booklet for each and every single volunteer within our network. We've had 20,000 printed. I think we've given about 6,000 out so far, so I shall make sure that everybody gets one of those. But that's just our way of saying thank you for the time that you invest into Camberley and really for changing the culture of this nation. And we've also written a book because we think it's too exciting a story to keep to ourselves. National media are dead keen on what's happening. So we put together a book which kind of tells the Halifax story, and it's got lots of stories from around the country. Is Camberley in there? I don't think it is it? No, so maybe the book Mark 2 will have Camberley in it, so they're available as well. So thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for the difference that you are making in Camberley on behalf of CNI Network. So any questions?
How do you tie in with street pastors?
Street pastors, we get on very well with them nationally. I know Les Isaacs, we were at their conference last year in Manchester, so it was great to invite them to the stage to talk. So nationally we get on okay. We tend not to work in the same towns, although there are some exceptions to that. Blackpool, for example, the street pastors only do homeless work, to go around and chat to all the homeless people, which of course in a seaside town, Blackpool attracts all them. So Street Angels work with the clubbers and street pastors with the homeless. But yeah, we get on really well with them, and it's good to have two models that people can, it's good to have a choice, isn't it?
So what's the difference?
The difference is Street Angels is much more localised, so it's down to the local group to kind of decide what works best locally. Street Pastors is kind of a franchise, you will do it this way. These are the uniforms that you have, these are the hats that you wear, this is the training that you have. We come and do everything for you. Street pastors charge quite a lot of money for that. It's £2,000 to be part of their franchise. Every volunteer has to pay £300 to be a volunteer. Where Street Angels, we just kind of let people get on with it really. So we pick up the smaller towns where Street Pastors model doesn't quite fit. And also we allow creativity. So things like the Club Angels, the Street Pastor model wouldn't allow for that to happen because it's not within their remit. Whereas we just say, get on with it, try it, give it a go, and if it works, and we'll support you and do whatever we can. So hopefully we're a lot more flexible than the street pastors as well. But we do get on well with them, and I'm meeting up with the Reading street pastor coordinator this afternoon to talk about Reading Festival and our work there. So, yeah. Any more questions?
You mentioned about Leeds more than Reading, about the festival work. Is that something that you're looking to expand in Reading as well? Or
We do.
because obviously the two things are linked.
They are,
the two
yes,
festivals are linked anyway.
Reading, the street pastors cover it. So I think you have to be a street pastor and part of their network in order to be part of Reading Festival outreach. I'm meeting the lady this afternoon, so I'll chat more about how we can perhaps draw in some of the local street angel teams. There's quite a lot in this area. And people like yourselves might enjoy a few hours at Reading and wandering around there with the madness, and a few of you may not. Not murmur there. So, but hopefully we can expand the opportunities at Reading. So, yeah, but yeah, it's a different animal. 'Cause, yeah. Any more questions? Good. Can I do another quick commercial break? We've got a conference. We've just been planning a conference that's hopefully going to pull together all the different CNI network projects, which is to be held in Manchester. That's not too far from here, is it, on the train? The wonderful, have you heard of Redeeming Our Communities? Yes. They've been given this multi-million-pound building, which is absolutely state-of-the-art, built as a youth centre, conference centre, and then the group that was running it went into liquidation, so they've had it done as a community asset transfer. So they've ended up with this fantastic facility for nothing, which is quite amazing, really, isn't it? The council was so impressed with what Redeeming Our Communities do, and they said we wanted to go to the Christians, because they could probably run it better than the non-Christian groups out there. So we're having it at their facility, the 23rd to the 25th of October. All the details are on our website. If you don't follow us on our website or Facebook or Twitter, then do all the details are in the booklet. So,
Great.
thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Paul.